About 6:30 in the morning, and I'm heading to the airport. Luckily, I don't need much time because I'm in the center of the city, and that is why I just need to catch a ride, and I'll get there in a half an hour. Always I'm traveling by Ryanair. Finally, got back to this apartment where I stayed for the first time in Warsaw. I had a very hard time commuting from the airport to the apartment because of the train control. So I saw a control in my wagon, and then on the next station I got out and went to the other one. So he followed me. I didn't notice that he entered the wagon, and he approached me and asked me for a ticket. Of course, I didn't pay because, it's just something common in Serbia. And he wanted to call the police because I didn't want to give him my passport. Then I told him, okay, I'm going to pay the ticket, no problem. But when I saw the price, I decided just to get out. On the next station, luckily, when I needed to pay by my MasterCard, the train stopped, and I just got out and started running. It is time to move on. I'm going to visit the National Museum, which is very near me. There it is. The ticket is about €4.50, but every Tuesday and Wednesday the entrance is free for everyone. I'm in the part of the museum where you can find sculptures and paintings about medieval art. As you see, it's mostly about Jesus, actually his passion, and Virgin Mary. Carpets were very important for noble families in Poland. They all had their coat of arms, like this one. It's a carpet of Potocki and the Mnisho family. It's a tapestry that contains Polish-Lithuanian coat of arms. This eagle is a Polish part, and the rider is the Lithuanian part of the coat of arms. This painting shows the Battle of Warsaw, in which the Polish-Lithuanian army crushed the Muscovite army during the war between these two nations in the beginning of the 16th century. And it is, very important because it was one of the turning points of that war. Various landscapes in France, Italy, Switzerland, and more. One is one of my favorites. It was painted by Jean-Pierre Nerblin, and it represents a group on a lakeside trip. For lunch I took these pierogi. Those are filled dumplings with meat or vegetables. In this case it is with spinach. I bought it in a supermarket. I just didn't want, to waste time in restaurants, and it cost me about €2. I am also going to eat this Russian salad, 150 grams, that I paid about €0.50, which is not much. For the first time ever, I took this Fanta with a flavor of elderflower and lemon, which doesn't exist in Serbia, so I was curious to try it. Well, it has quite uncommon taste. I don't know how to describe it. I mean, I feel lemon and something else besides it. But I don't know what is similar to it. Some kind of plant for which I have never heard of. I'm in a very interesting museum which contains works of a very famous photographer, Chris Neadenthal from UK. He is very important because of his photographies, which are about everyday life and ordinary people, but also about politicians and about very important political activities. All those activities are related to the end of the Cold War. Here you can see one of many refugees from East Germany who entered Austria in 1989 after the Hungarian government allowed them. This was important because by that time Hungary didn't allow people from East Germany to enter West Germany. It was part of the deal with the German Democratic Republic or Eastern Germany. The Pope John Paul II was in Poland twice. First in 1979. These were pictures taken at that time, and the second time was in 1987. You can see what was life in Poland like in 80s when there was a general crisis. There were queues for food, as you see here. Cafes were empty. And this was a happening organized in front of the Russian embassy in Warsaw because of mass killings of civilians by Russian soldiers in Bucha, near Kiev. These photographies that you see are related to the fall of the Berlin Wall, as you see. He also took photos of the protests in Tiananmen Square in Beijing, China, against the government in 1989. It was a horrible event because thousands of people were killed by Chinese army.
I really enjoyed this museum because it was unique. I have never been to a museum that contains photos, and I really hope that I will visit something similar next time, soon. Again, this museum was free, like most of the museums during certain days in Warsaw. So I didn't pay anything and I saw many things.
Today it's time to go back to Budapest, and from there tomorrow I will be back to Belgrade. Everything is cheap in Poland, including the pastry. So I paid this about 2 euros, which is, really not much. It's close to Serbian standards. As you see, it's big and it's about 1 euro. This is also 1 euro, and it's so delicious. I just love it.
What you hear now are the sirens in the memory of Warsaw uprising, because today is the 69th anniversary, and that is how they commemorate this event. It's a football stadium of Legia Warszawa club. It has a museum, so I'm going to visit it. I have never visited a football club museum, so I think that this is going to be a unique experience.
Here are various football kits that were used or are used today. I don't know. I'm not much into football. I suppose that this Boruc is one of their best players. I suppose that these are great football victories against some clubs during the past years. For example, against Hajduk in 1994. This is their greatest football player, Kazimir Diena. He won a golden Olympic medal in 1972. Here is the replica of it. And here you can see other gold medal. Here is one of their Olympic gold medalists, Vladimir Savatsky, an athlete. He got the medal in 1996 in Atlanta.
One of the last things that I'm going to do in Warsaw is visiting the Royal Palace, which is behind me, because it's free during Wednesdays and
I'm heading to the entrance, which is there. In this room there are portraits of prominent Polish figures in the 18th century. I don't know most of them, except this one. This is Adam Czartoryski. He led the Warsaw Revolt in 1830 against Russia. Behold the council chamber. It used to be a conference room in the 18th century during the reign of Polish king Stanislav August. Look at the ceiling. This meeting represents the protest of Tadeusz Reitan against the decision of Sejm, or in other words, Polish Assembly, to approve the partition of Poland by Prussia, Austria and Russia. So he blocked the door to their, I think, meeting room. We can see him here, and that is a gesture of patriotism. In this room we can see paintings of foreign rulers, such as Charles I, who reigned in the 17th century. Then Queen Catherine. She was the woman of Charles II and Charles II, English king who also ruled in the 17th century. Frederick I, Swedish king, and other rulers, and I'm just going to name each of them. In this marble room there are portraits of Polish monarchs throughout history. And the king's throne, behind which there are figures of white Polish sheep. Sky globe with various creatures from the Greek mythology. It dates from the 16th century. This is where kings slept. Wheel of Poverty, I'm going to spin it. Well, so now I'm just going to pass through some monuments, and that's all for this trip. At the end of this trip is the tomb of the unknown soldier. It's a monument dedicated to all people who fell fighting for Poland in the 20th century, during the First World War, after the First World War, the Second World War, to countless people who gave their life for this struggle. And my trip is now over. It's time to go home, finally. I have just arrived to Modlin by this train. Fortunately, there was no control all the time, at least not my wagon. I have a few more hours until the final flight is ready. I'm traveling to Budapest, and tomorrow by BlaBlaCar to Belgrade.
Including laptops, must be switched off and